Right here on set, we are joined by Barnabas Twinomujuni, who is a licensing officer of the Marine, who is from the Ministry of Works and Transport, just to get us to understand critical or a few things, what the research shows of how drowning itself has become a big challenge, and the silent killer called it number 2, if not the 3rd leading cause of death in Uganda, and just not Uganda, but many other countries. What do we address this morning? We are looking at one, safety of the water, looking at safety of individuals on the waters and safety of any other person, even in the swimming pool. So it is critical for us to have a conversation with him, and a conversation which is really through the richer hand, and understand how actually do people continuously have to protect selves in the water, and what particularly. First, good morning, and thank you for joining NBS Morning.
Good morning, Shamim. I'm glad to be here.
We're glad to host you this morning.
Thank you.
Interesting, Shamim, that you talk about drowning. And this is a conversation that we'll continuously have this week, particularly because it is Water and Environment Week here in Uganda. And so pertinent to the conversations around water would definitely be safety of persons on this particular, resource. Speaking of resource, water is also a means of transport. And so it's important that someone could ask water, until we have Ministry of Works and Transport, what's the correlation? It's because water is a means of transport. And so we wanted to find out, particularly from the ministry, what is being done to ensure the safety, particularly when it comes to drowning. What is being done by the ministry to ensure that lives are safe on this particular means of transport?
Thank you, Tracy. As you've put it, water, Uganda is gifted by quite a number of water bodies. Around 18% of the surface area of Uganda is covered by water, and it is a good resource. However, in some cases, it becomes a threat to the people who would actually depend on it. And here we are talking about drowning. We use water for transportation, especially the people or lakeside communities who live around the water bodies. It has become a threat to them instead of being a resource. And this is most cases because of limited awareness of the danger in drowning, limited access to life-saving appliances, especially life jackets and the life jackets. So the ministry is the leading agency in Uganda to collaborate efforts to prevent drowning. Remember, this is, everybody can drown, but nobody should drown. This is a theme for this intervention. So we, at the ministry, as a leading agency, collaborating and coordinating all other stakeholders, the ministry sets and enforces regulations to ensure that everybody is safe. In this case, we, at the ministry, as we coordinate, we ensure that the regulations are in place to enforce the safe use of water transport, ensure that all the operators are trained and certified, to also ensure that life-saving appliances like life jackets are made mandatory. It's our duty to ensure that people are safe on our waters. So we are making regulations to enforce life-saving appliances, to make them mandatory, to increase the awareness of the water users, to make sure they are aware of the danger that is on the waters.
So what particular challenges do you face in implementation of such initiatives that you as a ministry are trying to ensure that helps people to at least reduce on the cases of those drowning?
The biggest challenge is, for some time up to now, this sector has not been given so much attention. And therefore you find that there is limited resources to ensure that preventing drowning is implemented at large scale. So we definitely have limited resources, and that's one of the biggest challenges. But apart from these resources, the public who uses the waters for transport, the people who are engaged in fishing, have limited awareness to the problem that surrounds them. So we have limited awareness, we have limited funding to make sure we enforce drowning prevention at a large scale. But additionally, we have most people who use transport, water transport, use boats. And some of these boats lack prerequisite standards. So that one is also a challenge, which we are, through regulations, we want to address it by establishing standards that all boats constructed and being used on the waters have a standard which is a bit, at least safer for them to use.
That's key there. That's key. It's interesting that you choose to at least help ensure that you have a discussion with the people that are on the lakes, because that's their business. That's where they work from. Much as it's transport, it's also recreation. For those that move on the boats, it could be more dangerous on any day.
In most, for lakeside communities, they depend on these water bodies for their livelihood. So you as always, they will be there, and that's where they live. You find that we have, our water bodies will have areas like islands who must get to the mainland to get some services which are not on these islands. And so it's a must they will use the water bodies. And you have to ensure that these people are safe. They must cross for health services, for market and education. You've seen some schools and islands, but live on the mainland.
Interesting.
Some major schools are on the mainland, but people are on the islands, and they must cross. They don't have a choice, but now, for them to be safe, we have to come in and say, you know what? We need standard boats. We need access to safety appliances, life jackets, life rings, even where they dock. You know, you can cross and have a problem at the docking area. We are moving forward to improve the docking spaces, the landing sites, such as even at the docking where you dock, where you embark, it is safe. So infrastructures. And in some areas, you find that weather, this is a natural thing, you have nothing control about it. So what we are doing, we are ensuring that we have early warning signs on weather. If we can have a weather forecast, which we have started as a ministry, to focus on weather, we can give people early warning sign that at this time, at this particular time, you are not safe. So please wait.
Absolutely.
So early warning sign is also an important key which we are working on to ensure that people are aware of the danger ahead of them and they remain safe.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Barnabas Twinomujuni, right there from the Ministry of
Works and
Transport, as well as water, particularly from the Ministry, of course, Maritime Licensing
Department. Yes.
Licensing Officer, right there. Thank you so much for sparing time, and hopefully, safety in our water bodies becomes a priority, even as we allocate funding.
It is a priority. Currently, we are also looking at rescue services. You know, as we look at preventive measures, just in case something happens, we should be able to come and rescue you. So we are putting up search and rescue centers. We are going to have around 9 on our water bodies with rescue boats, standby staff, and you just need to call in toll-free numbers. And when you're in distress, you call 110 and
thank you very much, Barnabas. A very timely response for our communities, particularly on the shoreline.